who have only really just started looking okay themselves.
Yeah, and also a tie versus Beyond the Game is definitely a respectable result.
Yeah.
So RPG by no means a team that you should ever or count out or disrespect, because they at any given time can bounce back and take a map, maybe even two from you. And we're going to Sky Temple for that first game of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, last day of regular season or league play. Next week, we're going to enter the playoffs for HGC China to determine who is going to represent China at the second Eastern Clash. And as we found out yesterday, or as we clarified yesterday, guys, there is going to be 4 teams of China representing at the Eastern Clash this time, and no team from Taiwan.
Which is super cool, which means any of these teams could be going to the mid-season brawl, to the Eastern Clash, which should be hype in all forms. What is also hype in all forms is, in case you haven't realized via the top of your screen right now, we are playing on the live patch.
Yes, sir. That is correct. You see the 3 bands coming in for the first time in professional play ever. And that also means that we're going to see Jim Raynor potentially showing up. The Asmodan with a rework could come in. It was banned, I think, once or twice yesterday. So that is kind of cool. And in terms of other changes that are worth highlighting, it is, of course, Brax's holdout, in a more updated state. We now have the updated beacons, the stronger Zerg waves, and so on and so forth.
With Sergeant Hammer, like you said, banned out straight away. Good AoE damage will certainly do the job there. So being able to clean out the Zerg with that could work. BFG is an option to help clear the Zerg waves. It's not great. We've actually seen a Hinterland Blast used during the open division. No, it was during HGC China. Used to clear a fair amount of the Zerg wave, but the most common method to these days being the Planet Cracker from Phoenix, used at the right angle to clear the Zerg wave that way.
Yeah, very true. All right, so we see 2 familiar faces return in that draft on Sky Temple. No big surprises. Double global, if you will. It has become a common theme in China that the moment one team picks Falstad or Dahaka, the other team picks the remaining global heroes, so they have a little something to counterbalance that. I don't think it's that common in other regions. Sometimes teams like to even go for the Abathur instead of the Falstad, or they ignore the global aspect altogether and try to overwhelm their opponents by just having better team fighting altogether.
So now, with Malfurion, Tychus, and Dahaka on the board, what else would they need? They need main tanks, so the main tank ban would make a lot of sense, and if not, burst assassins are very much name of the game here. They already have their solo laner and a damage over time assassin, someone with a fair amount of poke, so being able to burst someone down, a Jaina very much fits that bill, so it makes a lot of sense, and is the go-to hero. And we see Illidan banned by KT, learning from previous games, but is this a map that RPG were actually willing to play the Illidan on?
Yeah, you raise a solid point there, Tetcher. A few days ago, I don't remember exactly which game it was, but RPG definitely had that, that flashback to 2017 when they were playing the split push hunt Illidan very frequently against other teams like SBT, very successfully even in that case. So maybe KT just isn't really comfortable or doesn't feel comfortable playing against that sort of global split push style, or they just want to deny a comfort pick for Chicken because he played a pretty astounding Illidan and actually, as you said, won them a game.
The game you were thinking of was Dragonshire versus Beyond the Game.
There we go.
With an Illidan, Falstad, Hunt, Hinterland Blast combo, which, with the Illidan on the board, could have been exactly
Falstad's already there.
It does not happen. In this case, though, we do see the Yorel getting picked up instead as the solo lane. KT responds. They already have their solo lane, and the burst damage they wanted is going to end up being Greymane and Garrosh. Timeless on Garrosh. We've had our doubts in the past. He impressed us at least a little bit yesterday. See if he can keep it up. And Zagara coming in here for RPG. That is interesting. They're putting it on Sara as well, so a lot of faith here.
Yeah, I mean, if Illidan can't be picked because he was banned by the opposing team, and you're still trying to go for that split push style, you're still trying to go for that global presence, then Zagara might be a worthy replacement. I mean, it's questionable, right? We don't really have much data on Zagara in the current meta. Other regions are completely ignoring her. And even in China, where she kind of originated back in 2017 when she was kind of in the meta for a few months, especially on Brax's holdout, we haven't really seen her much. I think she's currently 1-0 because she's only picked once by SPT. And that wasn't a classic Zagara game. That was a devouring Maw Zagara in a team fight-oriented way. This time, I think we're going to see the first time a true global split push Nidus Worm build Zagara.
I think you might be right here. There's not that much they could potentially wombo a Devouring Maw with. Actually, no, I take that back. Hinterland Blast, they have the Devouring Maw, and of course the Silence from Stukov to lock people down once they come out of that Maw. Potential's there, but the split push and the global value from Volstead added to that, I think could be very scary. So I'm going to also lean with that. Also, what do you think the lifetime popularity rating for Zagara is? As in how many times she's been played or banned out of... I will give you the number of games that are recorded here.
All right. In just 2018 or 2017 or in lifetime?
This is lifetime in terms of this website. 6,279 games. How many... what percentage of those was she picked or banned?
2.
No, 13.
Wow, that's way more than I expected.
There was a time when she was super meta, so that actually explains a lot. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, we are heading into the Sky Temple. And on the left-hand side, it is going to be RPG, with Chicken playing Yorel, MJ on Stukov, Sa on the Zagara, C playing Muradin, and Loktar is playing the Falstad.
All right, and facing them in the reds, it is KT. Kudos top with Hope on the Tychus. Timeless is playing Garrosh. TWT is on that Malfurion. Hikari on the Dahaka. And Hape, definitely a player to be on the lookout for, is on that Greymane. So, how is that Zagara going to blend in? She's already going for a very interesting build, going for a very Roach-centered build. Later on, we're probably going to see a little bit of a Bile drop coming in, potentially. But already the level 1 talent is going to lower the cooldown of her Roaches, which is always nice to see. And also makes them a little harder to kill, especially for non-heroic targets.
Which will be very nice here. It's great for the lane push here. A little bit better than the Banelings, I would argue, as well.
Yeah, back in the days when towers still had ammo, you could really drain that ammo so quickly with that talent.
Oh, yes.
Corpse feeders.
In this case, though, that is not going to be the case because, as you said, ammo is gonzo. So not going to happen at all here. For now, rotation's coming in very aggressively. C is trying to slow them down here.
Yeah.
And the Sagara begins starting on this Siege Giant camp.
Ooh, I see. I like it. I like it. The Sagara. We're gonna stick to that as much as possible. And yeah, so Zagara is basically doing what she does best, or one of the things she does best. She's taken mercenary camps with her PvE minions. She can always make sure that her main body is not going to take the aggro from those said Siege Giants, for example, or the Bruiser camps. And already she sticks in that bottom lane, you know, trying to spread those creep tumors for additional movement speed, additional vision. Back in the days before one of her reworks, she was actually able to regen health on those things a little more as well. But those were the good old days of Zagara. She's a little different. She's a little bit weaker than she used to be.
They are, and so much weaker that I've now got the stats up for the entirety of 2018 in all the top 4 regions in terms of the main HGCs. Now, what percentage do you think Zagara is picked or banned?
All right, now I'm going to say the 2.
The decimals do not go low enough, so 0. 5 out of 1,540 matches.
Wow.
Zagara was picked or banned, and she won one of them. Out of the 5 matches,
which was probably the game we witnessed a few days ago.
I think you are correct. As we do see that coming in here. The Corpse Feeders holding the line, at least for the moment. Loktar also looking for stacks on that Gathering Storm. He's got the Static Shield as well. This is a very interesting dueling build that Falstad can come out with. Allows you to trade back and forth. We are still seeing the Envenomed Spine coming in for Zagara, going for that extra range on shot and a little bit of burst damage. Still, no one takes the risk of the serrated spines going for that infinite stacking.
Yeah.
And I have made it very clear how much I am a fan of infinite stacking.
Infinite stacking is cool, but yeah, if you're not going to spend that much time auto-attacking on a map like Sky Temple because you're rotating all the time, I don't think it's going to give you that much value. But I'm agreeing with you, Tetcher. Hold that thought. Hope in trouble. And the Tychus gets absolutely dominated by the entire team of RPG, sorry, here. But was it worth it? Was that one hero kill really worth it? Because already you can see KT posturing up in that top temple, getting those first couple of shots in. Dehaka, of course, doing all of that, was soaking like a champion in that bottom lane. Slowly but surely, RPG is now grouping up themselves, and they're trying to contest Hape on that top temple.
Balstad able to force him off, at least for the moment, but KT sending reinforcements up the top. This will force Loktar away. Yrel finally has run to the bot lane a little bit ago and has soaked some experience versus Dehaka. As such, with that kill, and not actually losing that much XP, just a little bit smashed onto towers in bot lane. They're holding their XP count a tiny bit ahead, not much, but it is a non-zero amount, and any non-zero amount can give you an advantage when it comes around to those level 10s, which will be approaching as both teams, already level 7s, will be trying to race there before the next objective phase.
Yeah, and you can really see how much time and energy KT puts into destroying those creep tumors, right? They want to deny the vision. They wanted to try to deny Zagara that extra mobility as much as possible, especially around the bottom half of the map. I think it's going to be very important to keep that creep count low. So you basically have, or you're fighting an even term against the enemy team in terms of vision for that second temple, which is going to spawn in the bottom. And level 7 Tetra has now hit us, and Sa is doing things a little differently from, I believe it was Melody C on the side of SBT who last played Zagara and won with it. He is going for the Viscous Acid.
Now this is interesting. Zagara does actually have to stand still for the Banelings to shoot, which makes it very risky. C in trouble, but he's Muradin, able to dwarf toss away. So throwing out these Viscous Banelings is going to... yeah, it's going to slow, but it's actually going to be used for kiting, because Zagara has to stop to do it.
Yeah.
It's more for a backline damage kind of thing, a utility in the actual fight. It's going to help Muradin with his Give Him the Axe. Other than that, it's just a little bit of extra crowd control, but I still think that Bile Drop is potentially more value due to the fact that you're going to get more consistent value out of it instead of, you know, people dodging the Banelings. You're losing out on Zagara auto attack and Hydralisk damage in that scenario. It doesn't add any extra wave clear. It's peculiar.
Now, there's one thing in which I can see the Viscous Banelings maybe getting additional value, and that could be a Devouring Maw. So when you have several heroes in that Maw, you drop the Banelings just when the Maw is going to release them, then they're going to be instantly slowed by that 20%. So maybe for a little bit of a wombo combo setup, but as you said, the Bile Drop is normally the more impactful talent, especially if you go for the Corpse Feeders at level 1, which would already lower the cooldowns of your Roaches. So is it going to be another teamfight-based, teamfight-centered Zagara, or are we going to see Nidus Worm here for the first time? We're going to find out now. Looks like it's going to be the Devouring Maw, as we hinted towards. So immediate slowing on the Banelings after the Devouring Maw, you know, burps out those heroes.
So it is full wombo, the Hinterland Blast. It's a full burst, all in style here. It's going to be so good until Flaming Swipe ruins everything. But now, though, here comes the Odin. Zagara's in position. Falstad can fly in at any moment. For now, though, RPG, they want to try and force the enemies into that choke point if possible. That would be the ideal scenario. Into the forward bush. Start dodging the shots. Sends out the Hydra, sends out the poison. This is going to force Hope to back up a bit. Timeless drops the CC. Falstad pushes hard in the mid lane. Let's see if he can grab his team a fort, give them a little bit of an XP boost, and then he can rotate down for that Hinterland Blast. Needs to be careful though, because his team looks like they might want to engage.
Yeah, is he going to get that middle fort? Looks like yes, Loktar is going to get it. He still has that flight available. He also successfully kited away the Dehaka, who could have maybe interrupted the flight with a drag if cast in the nick of time. But so far, both globals actually not really participating in that fight. They're trying to keep up the soak. And it looks like to me, Tetra, this was a pretty good fight for RPG overall. Not only did they keep the majority of KT busy in the bottom lane, they also avoided dying during that Odin, for example, from the Tychus. And they didn't really waste any long cooldown heroic abilities themselves. So this was pretty successful. Fort was taken in the middle as well. I like what RPG is doing so far.
They lost a couple shots, though. It is a little bit unusual that they didn't try and make a play. I would have thought they would try and move in, especially with that aggression that Urel can show. So it is interesting to me, but I guess they were just trying to wait for the perfect devouring maw. But if they do that, then they might end up waiting all game and lose.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how this progresses later on when the next objective phase comes up, which will be a mid and bot alter phase.
Oh, and you can really see how determined KT is to make that top push happen. Not only do they group 4 heroes there, everyone except Dahaka is actually trying to, you know, shove the lane towards the RPG keep in the top lane, but they're also having the mercenary pressure. Only now do they split and separate themselves. They realize, you know what, 13 is so dangerously close for the enemy team. We're not going to risk anything here. And Chicken and Sai, they used all that distraction. They used all that heavy focus onto the top lane to steal the double Siege Giant camp. And with Loktar having a pretty good time defending this, or at least he should, with now with C and MJ reinforcing, and they actually get some damage done on that bottom fort for the side of KT.
Their fort's going to survive, which is the most important thing here, even with the cocktail of the Greymane. Tychus already completing his dash quest, a little bit slower than pretty much everyone on this list except for Chicken. As C backs up, doesn't want to get himself caught out as Timeless drops damage. Flading Swipe though disengages there. Want to get caught out by Hikari here, so nice move by MJ.
Yeah, really good move by MJ, you know, keeping the formation intact for now and also denying the global value here for Hikari, who tried to land that surprise play. And now the temples have respawned, of course, in the middle and the bottom. Already, RPG is making a strong claim to actually maintain and hold control over this. And with Sa on that Zagar, not going for this typical split push style that we're used to seeing with Nidus Worm, he's always that threat. You know, one good maw is all it takes, and this could be a clump that he's looking for. One man in the maw.
C gets dragged into the backline and decides to run deeper. Hinterland, I don't think it actually hit Hikari there, who was able to dodge. Nice little burrow. He immediately came out of being held underground and went straight back underground, not liking the surface world. The silence dropped on the Chicken, but he was able to block it with our defender here, and it's a full retreat from RPG.
Yeah, full retreat from RPG. Once you realize, you know what, we just used Maw, we used Hinterland's Blast. Those are our greatest weapons in a team fight, and none of these actually did anything. We cannot maintain that fight anymore. We're going to go and try and rotate. We're going to try to outrace our opponents by taking control over that bottom temple now, for example. And already RPG needs to be so careful. The only heroic ability they've got left is the Muradin's Avatar.
Whereas KT, they have Cursed Odin at Cursed Odin, that sounds cool. Cursed Bullet Odin and the Taunt from Garrosh here, so they need to be careful. That Warlord's Challenge could absolutely shut them down. In comes Chicken onto the silence of Stukov, looking for hate, and they take him down. Hope drops low as well, but Chicken has bitten off more than he can chew, gets killed by a Malfurion onto his head. Loktar now trapped inside this temple area, but he's got a great angle for his Hammerang if he could just get it in range. Timeless drops though, they were able to finish him off. The Static Shield keeping Falset alive, Saab with the micro, avoiding Malfurion all the way, and TWT completely separated from his team.
Wow.
And they get everyone. Dahaka even delivering himself via the top lane.
And Tetcher, I think that was a great play by RPG as a team, but especially by MJ on that Stukov. Like, that silence really cut KT's team in half and basically rendered Greymane unable to even get out of that sticky situation, right? With Greymane dying so fast, Loktar getting all the damage done in the backline, it was just a wonderful team fight for RPG to take. Although, as we said, they didn't really have all their hard-hitting heroic ability tools ready. So KT a little bit broken, a little bit in disarray during that team fight. They weren't able to get anything out of it.
But this is great news for RPG. They're looking very solid right now. They've got a boss pushing in. They're not going to empower it. They're not going to take that risk, even with the talent advantage. A couple of them were very low, especially Zagara. So they went back to base. Instead, Falset's going to clean out top lane. Everyone else is going to start looking for mercenary camps. But Timeless in position.
Timeless is in position indeed. And we see another one of those corrosive Saliva Hydralisks coming in from Zagara. It's basically almost the same build as Melody C went for a few days ago, with that Hydra now dealing percentage damage onto enemy heroes. And Falstad just blows Garrosh to pieces with yet another great Hinterlands Blast, Tetcher. This is looking mighty rough now for KT. They're going to lose that bottom keep.
Yes, they are. Here comes the push. Tychus dropping the Odin to clearing out the minions so that they're going to have to tank this themselves. Very smart move here. Burn that down, but the keep is already fallen. Bad news here for Hope, who's desperately trying to just drop some damage to dissuade any kind of core attempt with Garrosh dead. That is going to work. Everyone is going to retreat from the side of RPG here, and this is going to let KT give them the time to burn down the siege giant camps, prevent any extra damage, any possible amount of damage onto their core, at least at this moment.
Man, RPG is playing this game so well and smart in terms of like how they rotate, how they use their abilities together, especially Lockjar, man. I can't give him enough praise on that fall stat. We've seen multiple mage fall stats, if you will, with that hammer-centric build, you know, with the Hinterlands Blast at level 10, doing so much work. And it really seems to be the case that it slowly starts to be the more successful build, at least in China, over or compared to the standard Season Marksman one.
Here we have the Bruiser camps being taken by both teams. The majority of the map painted blue. This Bruiser camp was the last vestige for KT to try and get some counter-push pressure. They get the toss onto C, even the taunt, and that is enough with the curse bullet as well. But the devouring maw on two heroes. Hinterland is off cooldown. Where is it? Being held up here as they're able to kill off the Greymane already. Hinterland Blast is okay. Gets only one target. But as such, the cooldown reduction is still happening though. Sticking chases forward, but not enough to lock anyone down. Ends up being a 1-for-1. Greymane for the Muradin.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, Tetcher, if that Hinterlands Blast was that well aimed this time around. I think it might have even hit Tychus, who had used his Neosteel coding before level 13, right? Reducing the damage by 75% as well. Because it looked like he didn't take any damage from that laser beam at all. Now Sa needs to run away. Great root, great silence there coming in from MJ. Lockjar is the one getting flung into the enemy team's backline right now. Likely not going to make it out alive there.
Yeah, nice toss there coming in from Garrosh. But like you said, that Hinterland Blast, it definitely hit one person, but I think you might be right, it was Tychus. I didn't see hit point bars drop at all there, but you could obviously see the 25-second cooldown reduction from after it hit. But nice job by Tychus to block it, and nice job by Timeless there to get that kill onto Falstad after Falstad burnt him super low.
But what are KT really getting out of this? Not a whole lot. True, the experience is nice that they get from those kills because they're 2 levels behind currently. However, with that temple location, it's so hard for them to actually maintain control over both of them, right? They're so far away from one another. And already RPG, after losing Lockjar, they realized, you know what? We're just going to try to play Ring Around the Rosies here and try to kite our opponents here a little bit and take control over that bottom temple. But already KT is trying to prevent exactly that from happening. Their middle lane is getting absolutely demolished. Still 5 seconds until Falstad comes back.
Finally, the keep taking damage, and that is going to butt KT. Able to raid in, that's going to be enough to force RPG off of the point. That such mid-keep will stand for the moment. Rest of these shots, I believe they're just going onto the tier 2 structures, not onto the keep itself yet. So as such, RPG a little bit of a safer position, but they also have their level 20s. RPG looking to try and make the play. Upgraded Hinterland Blast for the extra damage here. Zagara with the extra auto attack damage. They begin to move forward. In they come. Chicken holding the line. Curse Bullet dropped immediately, but C tanking through it, and Greymane goes down. Full 25-second cooldown reduction. Once again, only hitting one target. Timeless just gets body blocked, and they move in for potentially a core.
Tetcher, that is very, very critical for KT right now. No more Greymane, no more frontliner with Garrosh, but a good drag into the keep range, actually. And C, who didn't have any avatar health left anymore, is definitely going to feel that pain. And with that maneuver alone, I think, without C, you know, initiating, locking someone down, tanking the core damage, I think this attack has been thwarted for now. Great job by Dahaka, great job by Hikari, keeping his team alive for now.
But with Odin and Tranquility burned, this is a free boss for RPG. That is the 2 tools that they could have maybe used to defend this. And as such, this is going to be what was going to be a 5 versus 3 push. Now it's going to be a 5 with boss versus 5 push. And level 20 will still not be available for KT.
Yep, here we go. That is going to be a very, very painful boss for KT to face. They're not even level 20. It's still more than half a level away, and that boss is going to be a big problem, combined with the full force of RPG, who needs to be very careful, by the way. If RPG overstays their welcome here and gets in too aggressively before the boss even arrives, that could be that one window, that one time window for KT to make something happen. But look at RPG. They're splitting up. They're trying not to get caught by the Garrosh combo. They're patiently waiting for the boss. Or are they? Urel is actually going deep already and ends up falling.
Your rail gets removed. Hinterland Blast, 2 seconds on cooldown, finally comes back. Boston dodged by Dahaka. C is dropping low. Tiger's trying to drain him. Hinterland Blast interrupted by the contagion from the Hackers. They chase forward. The boss on the core. Shield finally going down, but Timeless zoning out C, turning around. They take out another hero here in the form of Zagara as the core drops down. MJ and Lockdown burning it down from the other side. Hinterland Blast uses the core, but there's the drag. Down goes Falson. It's up to C and the boss. The boss is half health though, and that is going to be GG. RPG takes game number 1.
Tetra, I want to call this a very sloppy core call. It was enough, mind you, but they probably calculated this into account as well as saying, you know what, that boss is going to hit them so hard, we're going to try to occupy them a little bit so the boss will unleash its full value. Still though, I do want to call especially this Irel engage before the boss had even arrived at the core very, very reckless. And if, you know, KT defends this a little better, if it's a little earlier in the game and not, you know, past level 20, that might have actually backfired. As it is though, still, I'm going to call this calculated by RPG, calculated risk, and they take game number 1 in pretty solid fashion.
Yes, they did. They were in control of that game for, excuse me, basically all of it.
Yeah.
It was just little bits here and there, like that fight in the like that push in the bot lane at the end of the game. That looked a little bit less neat, like you said, but they still they knew what their objective was: distract the enemy team a little bit, but mostly just focus on to core. If that results in them dying, then that is the plan that they were going for, because it's all to empower that boss. The enemy team still didn't have 20, was the correct move, worked out, and game number 1 goes to RPG.
Absolutely true, and once again, that Zagara, although she's not really played in classic Hero League fashion, I want to call it, or classic Nidus Worm fashion, seems to do a little bit of work here. Not only is she able to push the lanes regardless if she moves around from lane to lane very consistently, but also in those team fights, the Maw, although it wasn't like the gigantic 4 or 5 man Maw that makes it into the YouTube highlight reels, still did a little bit of work. You know, sometimes it was used to capture people so they couldn't threaten your backline. Sometimes it was used to actually trap Garrosh and then for the rest of her team to collapse on him. But I want to highlight especially Locktar on that Falstead. While he didn't always have those money hinterland blasts, he connected it on the targets, especially in the late game, that needed to be dying. Especially Greymane didn't have a good day.
I completely agreed there. Greymane seriously struggled. He did get a couple good bursts, though. Out of all the members on the side of KT, the Greymane certainly did put on a bit of a show, I would say. Was able to pick up the majority of his team's kills. So I'm very impressed there. Very good job in general.
Yeah, but